We've done things like work on the Goshen Goal 14 exceptions, so we have those industrial lands. So a company that's here, like Johnson Crushers, that wants to expand will have the room to expand in the future. It's about fighting for our industries that are here, like tourism, where I've gone to the Forest Service and worked very hard to prevent them from closing down some of the riding in the dunes, in the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area in Florence, because that's over $100 million annually to the coastal economy, that particular piece of tourism. It's about improving our economy and making things easier to do business in Lane County. Something as little as changing the permit process for septic tank replacements out on the coast, so it takes half the cost and half the time now from when I came into office. On public safety, it's about understanding our budget and what some of our cost drivers are. During the last 3 years, we managed to take 7 bargaining units that all had different health insurance plans and get them down to the same 2 plans across the entire county, saving us almost $2 million annually, so we could focus that money back into our public safety system. We took 14 departments and compressed them down to 9, saving almost $1 million annually, so it could be available for public safety. We did things like work with people across the aisle. We worked with Senator Pozansky to get a new definition put into statute about what we could transfer road fund money over to rural patrol. And he got a new definition of rural patrol that allowed us to transfer up to $4 million last year.
Sorry about your time, sir.
I'm sorry. There's one last thing. Thank you.
We'll now move on to question 2, starting with candidate Leslie and ending with candidate Buzowski, or Wozovich, sorry. All right, so question 2 is, what are your plans or ideas for dealing with the in-need homeless and at-risk populations in Lane County? And I can repeat the question too if you'd like. Could you please repeat the question? Sure. What are your plans or ideas for dealing with the in-need homeless and at-risk populations in Lane County?
Well, it's not a simple question, and it's not a simple answer that can be solved in 2.5 minutes. As we know, the homeless are a very important current issue, and I'm very concerned about it. There are at least 3 things that we know about the homeless that I think are important places to start. One is far too many of our homeless are veterans who have served this country with honor and are now homeless for various reasons. Many of them have the ability, in theory, theoretical ability, to access resources and services from the federal government and other sources. And helping the veterans get to those sources of support that are available to them would be helpful. And so finding out more ways to get them the services they need, critically important. They have served our country with honor, and they need, and it's a shame to see them in that homeless situation. Second is, it's important to remember that a significant population of our homeless are folks who have been made homeless by the recession. And many of those homeless folks are families. And so economic development efforts are not just to help the economy in this sort of general broad way, but it's to help real people who lost their homes from the recession that we've all lived through. It hit some of us much, much harder than others. So that's another population that we need to, I think economic development efforts help them. And a third population to keep in mind, and this is also critically important, are mentally ill folks. A large number of homeless are mentally ill folks who have also sources of support available to them, but not the wherewithal to access that support. When you're mentally ill, it's pretty hard to fill out a form to get the services that you need. So helping to bridge that gap between mentally ill folks and helping them get to shelter, access resources available to them to get to that shelter. So there's 3 populations that I would start with right away to figure out how to get them served, and that would take some of the pressure off this very complex, important issue.
I think Don really spelled it out quite well, and you know, as a former mayor, I must tell you, one of the areas that Lane County can really participate and help in is this. What you see and where are the homeless? Where are they most likely going to be? Within urban areas. They're going to be in the cities. But right now, I know that when I was back in Washington, D.C. back in January, what I found is that Mayor Piercy and Mayor Lumber of Eugenia and Springfield were getting together and coming up with a plan. Meeting constantly with our new chair, Pat Farr. We're developing a plan now where Lane County can be strongly supported because we have the ability to bring in dollars. We have the ability to bring in grants that sometimes the cities cannot do. And I'm not saying that money is going to solve all this issue, but what we need to do is be prepared to, especially the folks who say they have been, they're a paycheck away, and all of a sudden they've lost 4 paychecks, and they're out. They're out of their home. They're living in their car. They're trying to figure out what to do next. We need to have the ability to bring a hand up. It's not a handout. It's a hand up to get folks so they can feel like that, man, if only I can get that start, if I can get back on my feet again, that's going to be critical. Economic development is going to be crucial as we move forward. And on the mentally health, this is the piece that I think is probably one of the most complicated. And what I can tell you right now is that this board, for me personally, this is a significant issue because if you think about it, I had to watch firsthand the Thurston shooting. That was caused by an individual that had significant mental health issues. It's been passionate for me over the years to get involved in this. And so we have the ability now to really, in my view, to be strongly supportive so that we can deal with this issue. And then finally, I'll just say this, that, oh, I thought somebody's mine, sorry about that. Is that our head of our public health department, Dr. Patrick Lemke, I got to tell you, this man has been amazing. He has gone out to the different homeless camps, people that maybe look like there's a homeless issue, and constantly talks to them about what their health care options will be and can be. This is what Lane County is doing. This is what your Lane County employees are doing. They're constantly looking for ways to get involved and make sure this is going to be taken care of. We've got to put this behind us, folks. It's going to be critical as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I serve on the Human Services Commission where Lane County, Eugene, and Springfield come together to fund many of the programs that are available, the nonprofits who are serving the vulnerable population of our county. What I know is that I am so impressed with the number of volunteers who are out there working, the number of agencies who are out there working to meet the needs of people. They care. Our community cares. And there's no easy answer to this issue. But I just spent 2 hours today, that I should have been preparing for this, going through 32 applications for the new Poverty and Homeless Board, which had 8 empty slots. I was so impressed with the caliber of people who had applied for that new position, that new board. And that's because people want to work to help to resolve the issues. We have that same kind of high caliber of volunteers who apply for openings in Springfield for many of our committees and commissions. When I was a teacher and working and raising a family, I really didn't have an opportunity to know about all the many programs that are out there and the people who are so involved in this community, who care about this community. One of the models that we're currently looking at, and Sid kind of referred to it, is the Utah model, where we first of all provide stable housing for people. And then people are able to, from that position, help themselves to get a job, to get their act together, kind of. It's that hierarchy of needs. When you meet those basic needs, then people themselves can do a lot to help themselves. I'm just really impressed with what we're already doing, the volunteers who are already working. It's not an easy solution by all means, but I would do all that I can to continue to help Lane County to eliminate the issue of homelessness. Thank you.
I kind of have a little different perspective in part. I worked at a county jail in California for 4 years, and I worked at a methadone clinic in California for 5 years. And I would kind of break some of these groups down. Like if somebody loses their job or they've got a huge hospital bill and they're out on the streets, I totally think we need to back them and give them some help. But I've also seen the system really play. I personally have set up withdrawal protocol in the jails, done everything I can, get people off of it, get them set up with mental health meds, a 10-day supply, transitional housing, counseling. And by the time I get off work, if they've been released before I get off work, they may be out there using again, drinking again, getting their 40 ounce before I even get home, because I've seen them. And so sometimes and at the methadone clinic, you know, the whole point was to be on methadone so that you could work and go to school and get off of heroin. Well, I had to watch them through one of those mirrors do their urine test, and they were all buying clean urine, sneaking it in. The point is that if somebody really needs help, okay. But sometimes people can play the system where it's really disgusting. And also some of the mental illness, sometimes people can't help it. But I know that meth can cause permanent brain changes. So sometimes people, you know, they become psychotic, and I had to deal with those people too, from using meth, and I'm not really feeling sympathetic there. I think in some cases we shouldn't make it so cushy here, because San Francisco has got people just, every stoplight, they got a beach chair and they're begging, and we could set up laws like they did where I lived in California, where you had 1 hour on a bench and you had to move on. You had to be 25 feet from like where people pull out or a mall. So you don't have to, every time you pull up to a light, see somebody begging, because sometimes when you make it too easy, you got everybody coming to your town. Thanks.
I really appreciate hearing from Commissioner Lycan that this is a nonpartisan issue. Certainly if you read the Register Guard, letters to the editor, comments online, you don't get that impression. The impression you get of the temperature of the community is that the way this question was asked, what do we do for needy homeless and for people who are at risk in a genuine way, misses the point for a large part of our voting population. Lots of people believe that lots of homeless people come from outside, come here to Eugene because of our services, and sponge off of us. Now those are myths. What we need to dispel those myths is leadership. We need leaders who help the voters get real information and understand the facts of the situation. If we have the facts of the situation, yes, people in Lane County do care. The great majority of people, even reading really nasty letters to the editor, still say, of course I want to help people who are really in need. So why are the true stories of what's going on with the homeless people not getting out to the people of Lane County? Well, it's nice to hear about the good work being done by mayors in Springfield and in Eugene. What about the county commissioners? We're here to talk about county commissioners. I want to see a county commissioner at the homeless camp, like I've been at the homeless camp. I want to see a county commissioner at the homeless camp saying, this is an unacceptable way for needy people in our community to live. I want to see the county commissioner saying to the Register Guard, this is the truth about the statistics about the homeless people in our community. These are people in need, and we need to help them. Leadership, that's where it starts. Once we have leadership, we can work together to solve these problems. Thank you.
Well, when my autistic son burnt my beautiful dome down in Cresswell, I was homeless. Didn't make me a second-class citizen, though. First thing we need to